I'm excited to share with you all that I've contributed a chapter to the newly published Anxiety Relief Handbook. The handbook provides a unique window into 11 highly effective complementary therapies for you to sample on your quest to ease anxiety. The ebook is available on my website, happynurse.com.au/anxiety relief handbook.
I know that there's lots of people out there suddenly thinking, wow, my job isn't as secure as what I thought it was. So maybe there's even nurses in your world whose partners are in that position where they've all of a sudden thought my job isn't secure, but they may also be thinking, and I know a lot of people have had this, the world has slowed down a little bit. Again, not so much for nurses, but people are taking that time to stop and think, what is it that I really want to do?
Welcome to the Happy Nurse Podcast. Nurses are the backbone of healthcare, always there to care for strangers as if they were one of their own, often forsaking special moments with their own family in order to ensure another's loved one is being cared for. As nurses, self-care is essential. I am Elena Mullery, nurse educator and self-care mentor for nurses. I'm an RN with 20 years of clinical experience. I have first-hand experience of stress and burnout. It was this experience which led me to develop a passion for personal development and pursue the study of mindfulness, meditation, hypnotherapy, and neuro-linguistic programming. Each episode, I will be promoting self-care strategies to those who always care for others. I have broken self-care down into 5 aspects: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and indulgence, to make it easy to ensure all your self-care needs are being met. Each episode, I will interview nurses and self-care gurus from around the world to help you with each aspect of your self-care. Welcome to the Happy Nurse Podcast with Elena Mullery. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Happy Nurse Podcast. I'm Elena, as you all know. Today I am joined by Samantha Riley. I'm really excited to have Samantha on the show because she is actually one of my coaches and I've been working closely with her for the last 6 or 7 months. Welcome, Samantha.
So awesome to be with you here, Elena.
I'll just tell you a little bit about Samantha and then we'll jump right in. So Samantha Riley is an authority positioning strategist and host of the Thought Leaders Business Lab podcast. She's built multiple businesses over the past 27 years and grew her first 7-figure business before she was 30. Samantha now teaches her clients how to transform their knowledge into a coaching business, which gives them more time, money, and freedom while doing the work that matters. Welcome.
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a bit kind of like, oh, the tables have turned. Now I'm asking you stuff.
I know. I'm sitting here a little bit nervous saying normally it's me giving you coaching and this time you're in control. You're in charge. I'm actually excited. So excited.
Yeah, so am I. It's lovely to have you on the show. And you have helped me get Happy Nurse to where it is so quickly, and I'm so grateful to you. In fact, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be doing this podcast because you planted. Yeah.
I know. How cool is podcasting? I love it so much.
Yeah, I love it too. But you planted that seed during the COVID downturn, and yeah, here it goes. So
yay.
Still going. I just recorded episode 20 the other day. I couldn't quite believe it.
Congratulations. It goes so fast, doesn't it?
Yeah,
soon you'll be like, I can't believe it. We've done 100 episodes.
Yeah, who knows? Watch this space.
Exactly.
So as you know, Sam, I'm all about self-care and especially promoting self-care to my nursing colleagues. I speak about having a non-negotiable in my self-care just to ensure that I'm always putting it into my day. What would be your non-negotiable when it comes to your self-care?
Oh my goodness. I actually have so many. And I think you already know this because I talk about it so much because we can't give from an empty cup, right? We have to make sure. And I think that, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, you know, being a mom of 3 and having multiple businesses, I was the person that gave to everyone else. And I thought that it was selfish to give to myself. And, as things happen in life, I realized that if I don't look after myself first, or if I don't fit my own oxygen mask first, I actually can't give, and I did get to a point where I was burnt out and completely burnt out. So when I started my business again, one of the things that I did from a business perspective is made sure that I set my calendar up so it worked for me. And I think that a lot of, and I guess if you've got a job, this is a little more difficult than if you have a business. But, most of us, we have our business or our career first, and then everything else sort of works around that. But I think that we need to reverse engineer that and say, well, what does our week need to look like to work around our business? So one of the first things I did was mark my calendar off Mondays and mark it off Fridays. I do not do any client-facing activities on those days. Sometimes I work, most of the time I don't. I'm in a busy time at the minute. So at the moment I am doing, work on Mondays and Fridays, but generally I only work 3 days a week. And it is marked in my calendar. So no one gets access to me on those days.
I love that. And I love how you reverse engineer everything. I've become a big fan of this, but I've never thought of doing it with the self-care. I'm loving this. I'm going to have to look at my diary now.
Yeah, I reverse engineer everything.
That's so awesome that you do that and you black out those days so that you can just recharge and be ready for when you are facing clients, because it's a very demanding job that you do.
Absolutely. Because if it's not in our calendar, it's very easy to go, oh, I said I wasn't going to work today, or I said I wasn't going to go to the gym, or I said I wasn't going to go and, I wasn't going to go and do something else. And then because it's not in your calendar, you just let it go. Where, gym time for me is in the calendar, for, time to go get my nails done or my hair done. All of that stuff goes in the calendar, because then it's like I'm outsourcing my decision making. It's just in the calendar and I just follow along. So that's definitely a big part of self-care for me. And the other one is my environment. So I have put, for me, personally, the beach is where I get all of my energy. That's where I get excited. It's where I get creative. It's where I do my healing. It's where I do my grounding. So I live at the beach, and between clients, if I've got a really busy day, I'll just go downstairs and stay with my feet in the water, or I'll go sit on the balcony with a cup of coffee and just listen to the waves. And I really make sure that is how I reset, so that I'm ready to be able to give again. Because if I don't have that reset time, I notice, I don't know, maybe it's my age. I notice that I get so depleted so much more quickly than I used to.
Yeah, it is. It's so important to offer ourselves that time to reset, as you said. And even those micro moments of going and popping your feet in the water or having that coffee, it does help. It almost like resets the brain, if that makes sense. I know yesterday I was working on a project and I could feel myself getting really frustrated with it. I thought, no, Elena, just walk away for 10 minutes, have a cup of tea. And I did that. And then I came back and yeah, sure enough, I got on with it and cracked on and got it finished. But yeah, those little micro moments can make a huge difference as well. I created a model of self-care to make it easier for nurses to create their own self-care plan, so to speak. Us nurses love a care plan. So when I started promoting self-care to nurses, I realized very quickly that self-care was getting associated with things like trips to the beach, getting your nails done, having a bubble bath. But I realized that there's so much more to it than that. And I've broken it down into the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and indulgent parts of self-care. The indulgent parts being what it often gets associated with. So what would be your idea of indulgent self-care?
So this to me is really interesting, because the more I broke it down, the more I thought, well, that's not really indulgent. Like, I could go get a massage or a facial. Hang on a minute. That's not really indulgent. That's physical. Or, I feel really good then, and that's spiritual. And it didn't matter what I actually came up with here. Everything kind of moved into another area. And what I started to realize is that what we call indulgent is actually what we need to be able to just do life really, really well. And that sometimes I think that we can get caught out calling things indulgent. Like, oh, who doesn't love, time? Well, for me, my love language is physical touch. So a day at the day spa with a facial and a massage is just like the best thing ever. But it's not really indulgent. Like, we call it indulgent. Like, what is it that all of a sudden the things that make us feel good or the things that are really good for us, we're thinking are treats? Like, maybe I think it'd be nice if we didn't think of it like that.
Very true. And I always say as well, we need to be addressing the other 4 aspects so we can really enjoy when we do go for the indulgent parts, because we get so much more from it.
Totally. So when I looked at it, I'm like, all 5 of them, like, definitely we do want to have those indulgent moments of self-care. I do love having a facial. But what I love about what you teach so much is that those 5 areas actually can intertwine so easily, and that we do need to have all of them. So, I could say that, I could say that, having a cup of coffee out in the balcony is indulgent, when I'm meant to be working. But it's sort of, it goes into so many different areas. So, yeah.
Yeah, I always liken it to, like, I love to go down to the beach and just chill out. And I almost see that as meditating, especially when I'm on my paddle board as well. And that can come under emotional, because I'm practicing mindfulness for my emotions. It comes under the spiritual because it's meditation. And it's coming under the indulgent because I'm doing something that I love. I'm out on the water on my paddle board. So yeah, they all do interchange, but it's just recognizing that you need to be addressing all 5.
All of them. Yeah. I love your model. Like, seriously, the way that it's broken down is pure genius. And I think that it's good to see people starting to understand this, because there was a generation of, I learned from my mother that we don't do things like that we have to be, what's the word? Oh, can't think of the word, but, like a martyr.
Yeah.
And I think that's what our parents learned from their parents, or my mum learned from her mum. But life's so different now. Like, my grandmother didn't have to pull off in a day what I pull off in a day. It was a very, very different world, and that we do need to look after ourselves because, we're just doing so much.
Yeah, well, like you say, like your grandparents, my grandparents, they grew up in wartime. It's if you compare that time to what it is now, we have to make a change in our mindset and what we're doing, because we're so overstimulated these days. We're constantly in front of screens, there's advertising, we're on our phones, we're always being stimulated by something. Whereas back then they weren't. They were lucky if they had a wireless in the corner of the room to listen to. So it's recognizing that life is different now, and because life is different, we have to live differently too.
Absolutely.
And that includes looking after our mental health and our minds a bit more than we probably would have back then.
Totally.
If you enjoy meditating, or you would like to give meditation a try, why not head on over to happynurse.com.au/meditation to download my free guided meditation for stress and anxiety relief. It's 12 minutes of pure self-care.
I speak about always trying to be the best version of yourself. And I know this is something that comes naturally to you, Sam. But I always say, if nurses are turning up as the best versions of themselves, they're offering the best possible care to their patients and being the best colleague to their colleagues. So who or what inspires you to be the best version of yourself?
There's so many practices and things that I do in my life to be that. I've got numerous coaches and mentors. I read a lot of books. I'm a bit of a documentary nerd. I love to learn. My kids, I always want to show up to be the best, because I want my kids to look at me as a role model, and for them to believe that they can do anything they want. My husband, Leon, is an amazing role model for me, and also someone that pushes me always to say, hey, you're holding yourself back. And it's every single one of these that comes in to help me to be that person. But there's another little piece, I guess, to it. And it's what I talked about earlier. It's me realizing that I had to give myself permission to show up to be that person, that it's not all external, that we've got these amazing people and resources around us all the time. But if we choose to not pay attention to them or choose not to do anything with them, then there's no value. We have to give ourselves permission to show up as the best person and to tap into all of these resources. So I think that it's such a it's like all the cogs have to work together to make it work. But yeah, big learning nerd I am.
I love that. That's so beautiful, giving yourself permission. No one said that to me before. And yeah, it's so true. The light bulb just went off in my head there. I think that is the key, isn't it? It's giving yourself that permission and allowing yourself to blossom into that version of yourself that you aspire to be.
Absolutely.
And yeah, my kids as well, I'm the same as you. I know, like, I'm bringing up 2 boys on my own, and
Yeah,
I want them to see me as an inspiration so that they go off and follow their dreams and do what they want with their lives when they're older. So
totally.
yeah.
I was really I actually interviewed my daughter on my podcast. It was actually a few months back, because I wanted to know through her eyes what it was like to have a mum, and her father as well. I'm not with him anymore. As parents as entrepreneurs, and it was fascinating to hear it through her eyes as an adult now, what she saw and the stories as a mum that I told myself in my head, those guilty, that mother's guilt that we have. And she just did not see it in the same way at all. And it was so cool to see. And, she has grown up and she's got an amazing career. And I message all my kids always on Saturday mornings, because my kids are all grown up. I always message on Saturday mornings and ask how their week was. And she went, "Oh yeah, by the way, I quit my job yesterday." I was like, "Oh, what?" So It was really cool to jump on the phone. And she said, "Yeah, it just wasn't making me happy anymore. I felt like I wasn't fulfilled like I used to be. Feel like I've done all I can in this career." And she's doing a complete career change. And she said, because I used to be a personal trainer at one point. She said, "You're going to be so proud. I'm going to be a personal trainer." I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." So,
wow.
So it's so cool that, to see my children grow up and to have them realize that they have the ability, if they're not happy, to stop doing something and change. Because, how many millions of people in the world think that I have to do this because I've got a mortgage to pay, or because, all the other millions of stories that we tell ourselves. And whilst we might not be able to change something overnight, we do have the ability to put things in place when, if we're trying to do something else. It might take 10 years, but we do have a choice and we can change.
I remember listening to that podcast earlier this year when it came out, and I was driving to work at the time at the hospital, and Happy Nurse it was on the go, but it wasn't quite what it is now. And listening to that gave me the confidence to know that my children were going to be okay if I pursued this dream. So yeah, I'm so grateful to you for doing that, and for your daughter for being so honest and sharing her experiences of her childhood.
Oh, I'm so glad that you got that message that I really am so passionate to deliver, because I think that as mums, we want to be the superheroes and get everything right, and often feel like we're getting nothing right.
I always liken it to, I speak about it when I'm talking about burnout and overwhelm, and say it feels sometimes a bit like Cinderella, but you never get to go to the ball. You're doing everything for everyone else, but it's actually okay to do something for you too, because as you said earlier, you can't pour from an empty cup, so we have to make sure ours is full as well.
Yeah, there was many years I didn't even have time to put that glass slipper on. I didn't have time to stop and get the shoe on.
I'm still looking for the Prince Charming with a glass slipper.
He is there, Elena. He is there.
Somewhere out there. Anyway, we digress.
Absolutely.
So one of the reasons I wanted to get you on the show was to pick your brain almost about any hints or tips you could offer to any nurses out there who are looking to start a side hustle or go into business. I know there's so many out there. There's even Facebook groups dedicated to this, nurses with extra jobs, because let's face it, we don't go into nursing for the money. It's a job we do for the love of it, because it doesn't really pay what we should be getting paid, but we do it because we love it. And there are so many of my colleagues out there who are looking to start a business, or they've already got one, but they just don't know where to turn.
I love this question, because I think that, not so much in nursing during COVID, but certainly a lot of people in the world who have been wanting to maybe go out and start something on their own, and thought, they were too afraid to take that step, thinking, oh, but my job is my comfort doona. I'm too afraid to step out. I know that I'm going to have my wage every week. I know that there's lots of people out there suddenly thinking, wow, my job isn't as secure as what I thought it was. So maybe there's even nurses in your world whose partners are in that position where, they've all of a sudden thought, well, my job isn't secure, but they may also be thinking, and I know a lot of people have had this, the world has slowed down a little bit. Again, not so much for nurses, but people are taking that time to stop and think, what is it that I really want to do? Like, maybe I'm not fulfilling my life purpose as much as I thought. And I don't mean just from a job or a career perspective, but maybe, there's people that want to spend more time with their children, or maybe they want to travel more, or maybe they don't want to live in the city anymore and they want some sort of sea change, all of these things. And I think that having a business gives us the ability to do that, to be able to choose the hours that we work, to be able to choose, when we're working, where we're working, and to choose the people that we work with. Because I think that for so many people, having a business and doing work that really matters is so important to so many of us. And, I think that the first place to start is actually not anything to do with your job or your business, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's more to think about, well, what do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to be living? How do I want to be living? Who are the people that I want to be surrounded with? And starting to get really clear on what you want your life to look like, so that you can reverse engineer, okay, to make this happen, what is it that I need to create to be able to live this life that I want to live? And then, once you've really got clear on what you want your life to look like, it's so much easier to cross the, that invisible line in the sand and say, hey, I'm doing this. Because as you would know, it is a gutsy move to start your own business. There's quite a lot of things that are happening in your mind that come into play that say, oh, it's easier if you don't do that, and who am I to be doing this, and all of that kind of thing. So being very clear on where you're heading is a really great start. And then I'm a big believer in, what is the knowledge that you have? What is it that you've done in your life or your expertise? What is it that you do that you can help other people with? Because that is the easiest business to start, is take the knowledge that you've already got and transform it into some sort of online business where you're helping other people that have got that same problem as you. So that you're able to leverage your time and all of the other things that we love. So, what is it that you're an expert in? And I often talk about the KEEP principle, which is, what's your knowledge, what's your expertise, what's your experience, and what's your passions, and start to really think, well, if we bring all of those things together, what is it that I can create something that's unique to me?
That's so awesome. And again, I love how you reverse engineer things, because it wasn't till I did that with you and I realized what it was why I wanted to start a business, and like what my kind of end goal was from it all. And everything just started to fall in place from then, and I started to take just small steps, and then each small step it's like the snowball, it's getting bigger and bigger. And like recently I have cut my hours at the hospital down to 0.25 full-time
Oh,
equivalent.
wow. I didn't even know that. That is so awesome.
Yeah, so like I'm doing enough to keep my clinical skills up and my registration open, but happy nurse is my focus now, and 0.75, well, I probably do 40 hours on it, but it doesn't feel like work because I
It
love
feels
what I
different, doesn't
do.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so different. And I'm just so happy, and I can be around for the kids more, because before they used to be in before and after school club a lot, because I work shifts, and now I'm there to drop them off and pick them up from school most days. And my little one, he just turned 8 last week, and he still comes running out of school at the end of the day, and I get that big hug, and it's those little moments that
Mm-hmm.
they mean so much, and I was missing out on them because I was always at the hospital. So yeah, by pursuing my dreams and doing what I love, I'm getting some extra quality time with my children, which I can never get back. As you know, they grow up and leave home, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm managing to carve that special time out now. So yeah, I love it. It's brilliant.
I love it. What's so amazing about that is not only are you still doing work that you love, it's just got a different feel to it. You're making such a difference. We're all in this coaching space. We're doing work that really matters. It matters to other people. And by us sharing our expertise, we're not just creating this fulfillment for ourselves, but we're changing other people's lives. And from there, that creates a massive ripple of impact, because, of all the nurses that you work with, what does that do to their relationships with their husbands, with their partners, with their children, with their friends and family, with their colleagues? The ripple of impact exponentially grows, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's so true. And I never really see myself as someone who's like inspirational, but so many of my colleagues say, "Oh, Elena, you're so inspiring." And even that alone is enough for me, to know that I'm actually making other people think, oh, maybe I could do something different. And look, Elena's managed to do it, so why couldn't I? And just knowing that I maybe have been that little catalyst for change and help them just to take that first step towards what it is that they really want to do.
Oh, love
And
it.
you were saying about nurses and being busy during COVID, and yeah, a lot of us are, but I know in Melbourne again at the moment, and back in April here, I know in April, sorry, I'll focus on that first. In April, there was 30,000 nurses stood down because surgery got cancelled.
Whoa.
I was one of that 30,000, as you know, and that's where the podcast came from. But yeah, and there's still a lot of nurses are out of work. I know in Melbourne, there's a lot of peri-op nurses like myself are not working because elective surgery is cancelled. So you think nursing in a pandemic would be a very secure income, but at the moment it's not.
Wow, okay. That's
It's
incredible, isn't it? And it's times like that where you think, oh, wow, who ever would have thought in a million years that something like nursing would have been stable? I don't know, maybe. And I was just about to say, maybe like we've all seen or may or may not have seen some of the footage coming from Melbourne, but maybe policemen are the only people that have got stable jobs at the moment. And then, you look in the US, and a lot of them are being stood down as well because they're not getting funding in the police department. So actually start to wonder, well, what is a stable job these days?
exactly.
Like, is there such a thing?
I know a lot of the nurses, I follow a lot of the Facebook groups in the US too with nurses, and it's the same there. There's so many of them being furloughed because, like, if you're not in a COVID hotspot, then there's no work.
Wow.
It's really bizarre time to be a nurse.
Totally. And what's interesting is that a lot of people have always said to me, "Oh, I'm too scared to leave the security of my job." And I have been saying for as long as I can remember, I think there's more stability in business because at least you've got the choice, if something doesn't work, to pivot really fast and do something different. And I've always been against the grain with that one, but I think that right now, that I believe it more than ever, that there is more stability in setting yourself up in a business than it is in a job. And I know, like, right back when I left my one and only full-time job that I ever had, that at the time when they were saying, why are you leaving? Because I was only 19 at the time. And I said, I was in a government job, and I said, I'm working harder than anyone else here. I'd went and applied for a new job, and the general manager had said to me, well, you're too young, you haven't done your time here. She goes, I had no idea that was your skill set. You totally can do this job, but you haven't done your time. And at that point I was just like, oh, this job thing's not for me. If I work harder, I don't get paid anymore. I have to just do my time. Like, this doesn't work for me. So totally all for going and starting a business.
I love your ethos around starting a business. And that's one of the things that attracted me to work with you, Samantha, was because, like, I know you've been where I am. You've been on your own raising children, and you've still managed to, like, build 7-figure businesses. I was like, right, I want to know this woman's secret. She's the one. She's the one that I need to work with. And yeah, the proof's already there. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you for all your listening and your coaching and your mentoring. And yeah, you keep me accountable to the point I've even actually recorded this online course, and it went live yesterday.
Yay, so exciting. But I just want to say that, again, it doesn't, I did mention it before, we have to give ourselves the permission. I could tell you all of the secrets in the world, but unless you implemented them, they wouldn't be working. You're the one that's doing the work, and consistently showing up every single day. So hats off to you.
Oh, thank you. And you have your secret weapon as well of the genies.
I do. Yes. How good are the genies?
The genies are the best things in the world. They have changed my life. Yes.
So let me just tell people what the genies are, unless they think you and I have completely lost the plot. I've got a team of designers and web developers and content creators and people that do all sorts of jobs. And you guys use my team. And the reason I called them the genies is because I was sitting down one day and I'd had the idea, and I said to my husband, Leon, if people had access to my team, they would be able to do the things that we do. And I had tried teaching people how to hire a team, and it didn't quite work in the same way. I knew that I had some skills there just from being in business for such a long time and having had teams of people working under me. So I thought, well, rather than trying to teach that, why don't I just give people access to my team? And I said, it's kind of like a genie bottle, like where they rub it and they get some wishes. And Leon's like, why don't you just call them the genies? And I was like, yes, this is so cool. So now you guys all my clients have access to the genies, where they get to, metaphorically rub the lamp and just say, can you please do this? And they just do it.
They're amazing. And yeah, those of you who follow my content on social media, all the graphics, a lot of the blog posts, it all comes from content created by the genies, obviously with my input as well, but all the nice artwork and that, it's all down to them. I jokingly said to Samantha the other day, if only they could give me time. But then I realized they do give me time, because they're taking all that hard work away from me, and I'm getting to focus on what I'm good at. And now, I even said to Samantha earlier this morning, I've got a social life again, because I'm not spending the weekends getting caught up with doing stuff for social media and writing out, creating stuff for my website and doing landing pages and all that stuff that has been a bit of a baptism of fire for me. I now just offload it to them. They are like the genies. It's amazing.
So good. Whoever thought someone building a business could have social time?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, who would have thought it?
Exactly.
But I have to practice what I preach. Hey, I was burning the candle at both ends for a while, and I thought, no, Elena, you can't be burnt out and preach about self-care. So sort yourself out.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, because it's too easy just to get caught up in it, and especially because you love what you do.
Yeah.
And you don't really, it doesn't feel like work as such, because
that's actually what you just said then is really powerful, because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs can get caught in and into that. And let's not, probably not just entrepreneurs, but nurses would be the same, or anyone that really loves their job. We can get caught thinking, but I love my job, and go down that my cup is empty path. And even I do, like on Friday afternoon, because we're in a really busy time in our business, I realized that I was feeling really empty and I was really tired, and I actually just shut my computer. I went, I have to go and meditate, and I have to go to the beach, and I have to take some time out for myself. Otherwise, it's going to get to Monday and I'm going to feel like I haven't really taken any time out. And well, how can we be creative and how can we be empathetic to other people when we're just not doing those things for ourselves?
Yeah, I was the same at the weekend. I'd had a crazy busy week last week, and it ended with me having to be clinical lead at work as well on Friday. And then on Saturday, I had all these great plans. I've got content to write for an education platform. I thought, right, I'm going to do that on Saturday. But I got up on Saturday morning and I felt done. I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to give my best. So I just chilled out. I took it easy. The kids were with their dad. I had a really kind of self-care day. I even did lots of cooking. So my cooking's all done for the week, so I don't have to worry about that. Like, that's part of my self-care too, is being organized in that regards. And then yesterday I got up bright and bushy-tailed and I just knocked out everything that I'd wanted to do on Saturday instead.
Probably at 5 times the speed or the 10 times the speed that you would have if you had have pushed through and tried to do it Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday I just had a block. It wasn't going to happen, so I just gave in and chilled out.
Oh, you had a human moment, Elena.
Yeah, I let my humanness come through.
How authentic and empowering.
Yep. So, have you got a resource to share with the listeners?
Absolutely. I've got a couple. So I've created a free PDF download called Employee to Empowered Entrepreneur. So if you're listening now and you're thinking, I would also like to get some time back like Elena has, and maybe do a side hustle or set your business up so that you can leave. It's got the 5 tips in there to position yourself as a standout expert so that you can have the ability to attract your dream clients and, really set this beautiful life up. So you can get that at samanthariley.global/happiness. There's a special page there just for the listeners of this beautiful podcast. And there's also going to be a link there for a training that I'm giving called How to Transform Your Knowledge into a Profitable Online Business and Do Work That Matters. So this is I'm going to be sharing not just what you need to do, but also the 3 biggest mistakes that people make that have them failing or just surviving instead of thriving. And there's so much opportunity out in the world right now to be creating online businesses and online programs that I would love everyone to get those tips so that they can create this thriving business and live a life that they love and do work that matters. So just go to samanthariley.global/happiness.
That's awesome, Samantha. Thank you so much. And what a generous thing to share. I encourage anyone who's thinking about starting a side hustle or already has one and isn't sure where to turn next to jump on to this free training, because it will be jam-packed with value. I know that for sure.
Oh, thanks, Elena.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and a bit surreal interviewing you instead of you coaching me.
It's been awesome. I've absolutely loved it. And I love the work that you do. So it's been an absolute honor to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Happy Nurse podcast. If you've enjoyed today's content and would like to join the Happy Nurse community, head over to Facebook and check out the Happy Nurse AU Facebook page and request to join the Happy Nurse community. Also, check out happynurse.com.au for access to free downloads and subscription to my blog. See you soon, and in the meantime, remember to always offer yourself the same compassion that you so freely give to others. I'm excited to share with you all that I've contributed a chapter to the newly published Anxiety Relief Handbook. The handbook provides a unique window into 11 highly effective complementary therapies for you to sample on your quest to ease anxiety. The ebook is available on my website, happynurse.com.au/anxiety relief handbook.